Hello, everybody. I'm gonna try something a little bit different this time. Um, I just got off of watching Sing 2, so I'm gonna give out my pure, unfiltered thoughts coming right after the movie, and we're gonna call it a review. Okay, so the plot. The original cast of the first movie, sans Mike, because that boy is dead. He died at the end of the other movie. You can't tell me he didn't. They're performing their shows at the local community theater, and they're kind of kiddie shows and what have you. Like we start in like their little adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, and they're trying to impress a local talent scout in order to make it to the big time, the big performances, their universe's version of Las Vegas, and they failed to impress, so they just straight up hitch a ride to Las Vegas, their version, Redstone City, I believe it's called, and they go on stage and they try to perform with kind of a rehash of the previous movie's audition scene, with all the quirky little characters spurting out their little jukebox songs, and they get the show under the condition that they are able to bring back Clay Calloway, voiced by Bono from the band U2, and he's pretty much the lead singer of U2 in universe as well. Like all of his songs are U2 songs, so he's a big deal. They get the funds, they perform a big show, and they struggle to bring back Clay Calloway because after the death of his wife, Clay Calloway does not want to perform on a stage ever again. Things go wrong, obviously, and the person who is funding the whole show sets out to just straight up murder Buster Moon. There has been many attempted murders in this movie. And the movie ends with the big musical show, massive set pieces, all the characters get to perform, they all complete their character arcs, and they are now respected as performers and are able to perform in bigger, better venues. So that's pretty much the basis of the plot. In terms of the actual movie, I enjoyed it. I liked it better than the first one. The first one, you had all this ensemble of characters, each one with their own individual arcs, and clearly some got more attention than others because you if you notice in the first movie, characters like Mina or Ash, they were kind of put towards the wayside in favor of characters like Rosita or Johnny, who, well, they're voiced by the bigger stars, so I guess debatably, and they're better written and they get more of the mainstream focus. But this time, there's kind of a better balance between not only the cast, but also the people the cast are related to. Like Rosita's husband and her family, they get a few really great moments in this movie. Um, Ash's ex is nowhere to be found, surprisingly. As I said, Mike is dead, and Johnny's father and his old gang show up for the finale. It's okay. So the cast gets better used in this one for me, and they also gave Reese Witherspoon better songs to sing, because if you had noticed in the first movie, she was given songs that were kind of outside of her vocal range, but here she's able to give a performance better because they're giving her songs that are comfortably within her range. Add on to that, I'm gonna skip right to the animation. The animation is very good. The location in this one is bigger, better scenery, better locales, better movement on the characters, all around. Just great animation. So much better than the first one because the first one's location was kind of boring, since it was just like in a small town. The locale, like their little community theater, the Moon Theater, it was small, but here we had the massive theater, big city, big time. Big is the key phrase here. Everything is bigger. Everything feels bigger. Our villain for this movie we didn't really have a proper villain in the last movie, I guess. Um, the lady from the bank was the closest person you could call a villain, but she's not really active in terms of the plot. But the villain here, who is the one who's providing the funds for the show, his name is Crystal. I forget his last name, but he's a much better character than I think anybody expected him to be. He's very entertaining, very threatening, even. Like, I think he might be one of the most threatening villains to come out of an Illumination movie, which, considering how they made it big with Despicable Me, which is a series of movies that's kind of based around the villain trope, it's fascinating that one of the best ones came from, like, the jukebox musical that nobody cared about. What else do we have here? The songs, of course, the songs. Um, More variety in the songs, more variety in the genres. And of course, the whole cast gives off excellent performances. Taron Egerton, Tori Kelly, they steal the shows completely. You have Pharrell Williams, who gives a great performance, at least musically. If you're thinking about whether or not he performed well as an actor, I couldn't tell you because he was barely in the movie. Bono was one that surprised me because you would think with the trend of like, oh, let's get in celebrity voices, that someone like Bono probably wouldn't give a good performance, but he actually gave off a decent emotional performance with Clay Calloway. And of course, singing wise, he's phenomenal, as you would expect. Each individual character arcs. Let's start with Johnny and his struggles with choreography. We get we get introduced to a street performer named Nushi, and she's a really fun character. She teaches Johnny how to dance. His teacher is less impressed with the fact that Johnny is doing well and thinks, oh, you think you're better than me? And they get a really good sequence at the end during Johnny's performance. Rosita's character arc, that's the stress of the performance gets to her because, like, stage fright, nerves, etc., etc. So she ends up getting replaced by Crystal's daughter. She gives off a great performance as well. I mean, she can't act, but she can sing incredibly well. And when I say she can't act, I mean she can't act in a universe. The woman playing her is a decent actress. She pulls off a great performance with, strangely, a Brooklyn accent, which you wouldn't expect based on the location that they're in. Gunther, he does more and he does less at the same time in this movie because it's Gunther's idea that springs on the entire play is Gunther's idea, but Gunther then sort of takes a back seat to the plot and he comes and goes. Like, he'll come in to contribute to the story since it's his idea, but then he'll take a back seat when it's clear that he's not needed anymore. And then there's Mina's character arc, which she didn't get a lot in the last movie, but she didn't get a lot in this movie either. I think she got more in the last movie. She discovers her love and is able to give a proper romantic performance within the play. So, in terms of that, I think she was given a lot less because her stage fright arc in the first movie I felt was a lot more compelling, a lot more relatable to any upcoming performers that want to go out and shine, but they can't because they feel too overwhelmed. And then there's Clay Calloway, who they play up the fact that he can't perform anymore because his wife died a lot. And the thing about that is, it doesn't really work because they tell us about his connection with his wife, but they don't really show it. Like, We don't get any flashback scenes with Clay playing with his wife or what it was about her that inspired his music. They just tell us, my wife inspired my music. Without her, I'm nothing. And it's a classic case of tell, don't show, when it should be the other way around. And then it ends with one big climax, the big performance. I'm going to be heavily biased here. I am a sucker for musicals. I love musicals. And even jukebox musicals, when the songs they're singing don't make sense within the story proper. And the ending performance for this is one of my favorite musical performances in an animated film. The finale for this was really, really good with the set pieces and the performances, the choreography, the animation. It was all phenomenal, fantastic. Illumination has a sort of stigma against them in that people think that they're the animation studio that doesn't try, and that after Despicable Me became famous, they just throw out minimal effort animation just to get the kids in and get the money. And with stuff like the Lorax and the Minions movie, they're right to think that. But personally, I think Sing 2 is one of their better movies. I mean, I liked Sing 1. Again, I'm completely biased. I love musicals. But in terms of like an actual movie, if I were to rate Sing a 3, I would rate Sing 2 like 3.75 out of 5. I very much enjoyed it. There's a lot of stuff, there's quite a few things that I wish they had done better. I wish they would have explored Clay's past more and in relationship with his wife, so that way we can more emotionally understand what it is about her that inspired him so much. There's a few arcs that like don't get a lot of attention. Like I said, with Mina, Johnny gets a decent amount of attention. Rosita does as well. Ash is just kind of there in order to inspire Clay. And I'm sad to see Mike gone, because honestly, Mike was one of the best parts of the first movie. And I don't know if it's just because they wrote themselves into a corner and they didn't want to act like Mike got away from a giant bear in his car, or they couldn't afford or they couldn't get Seth MacFarlane to come back. But I really wish that they had found a way to bring Mike back, because he's one of the best characters in the first movie. The fact that he's so callous and biting, and he has an attitude that a lot of characters in animated films don't usually feature in terms of like main characters. So seeing him not back, I wish they would have brought him back, but the film did just fine without him. So that's my completely unfiltered impressions on Sing 2. This is coming right after I literally just finished watching this movie about 10 minutes ago. So just completely out of my mind, unfiltered, raw opinions. If you guys would love to see more of this, then let me know in the comments. My name is Crit. Thanks for watching.